Hello everyone, this is Ahmed, your presenter, and you are watching Feel the English, Feel the Fragrance of Learning. Today we are going to analyze the poem Warming Her Pulse by Carol and Duffy, who became the first woman poet laureate of the United Kingdom in 2009. Okay, Warming Her Pulse by Carol and Duffy. Now about the poem. What is in the poem? What the poet is? The poet has reflected through his art of poetry in the poem Warming Her Pulse. Warming Her Pulse is a sensual poem by Carol and Duffy in the form of monologue, published in the year 1987. The poem belongs to Duffy's collection titled Selling Manhattan. A single maid is the speaker of the poem, who reveals her love and sexual desire for her mistress, that she feels and dreams but unable to propose or declare because before her, before her mistress, due to the economical difference and social criticism and also social status. The love seems to be one-sided, as the maid as a speaker does not reveals her mistress's opinion, and even she has not yet declared her feelings before her mistress. She is just revealing her sensation and inner feeling as a lover of the mistress, as the speaker of the poem. The poem reveals the erotic appearance of the maid and her sexual desire towards her mistress. She feels warm inside while dressing her mistress, and basically while she ties the beautiful pearls around her neck, and while in service of her mistress, he feels that love, that sensation. Finally, the maid gets nothing but excitation and waiting. She burns dreaming her mistress. She burns herself dreaming her mistress, naked, cool, and loving. Duffy has reflected the sense of lesbian love in the poem through the character of a maid having a mistress. It is basically a man has a mistress, but here Duffy has represented a maid as having her mistress to centralize the depth of lesbian love and freedom of woman that she feels and dreams, and the sensational excitement she suffers and a desire to have it regularly or continuous. Now stanza-wise analysis of the poem Warming Her Pulse. In the first stanza, the poet says, uh, the speaker says, the poet says through the speaker, that is the maid, next to my own skin, next to my own skin, her pearls. My mistress bids me wear them, warm them until evening, when I will brush her hair. At 6 I place them round her cool, white throat. All day I think of her. In the first stanza, the poet reveals or represent the maid's condition in the voice of the maid. The maid is the speaker of the poem as a form of the poem as a monologue. Next to my own skin, her pulse. Next to the skin of the maid is nothing but the pulse of her mistress, whom he whom she loves so much, and for whom she feels sensation inside. Because she always cared for the pulse that her mistress wear, wears, and she tie this pulse around the neck of her mistress. And while doing this action, doing this service, there is no difference between them. The maid and mistress are get sorry, the maid and the mistress get into touch, and they are very closer to each other. Though it is not clear what the mistress feels about her maid, but it is quite clear what the maid feels about her mistress. Bids me, my mistress bids me wear them, warm them until evening. When I will brush her hair at 6, I place them round her cool white throat. All day I think of her. The speaker reveals that she tie or she wear make them make the pulse wear around her mistress while it is evening, uh, when the mistress has to go out for some purposes, for something purposes, for some reason. Okay. All the day the maid thinks of her mistress. She metaphorically uh, warm the pulse. She has told that warm them until evening. It is not the real action, but what she feels make her warm inside, and she feels that she is warming her pulse. She feels the touch of the pulse of her mistress, and she becomes excitement all the day for the love of her mistress. At 6 I place them round her cool white throat. All day I think of her. This lies clear the fact that all the day she feels of her, that is the mistress. The maid thinks of her only. She is lost in the dreaming of her mistress. She has lost in the sexual desire. She places the pulse around her mistress's cool white throat. The word cool and white, and you can say around her cool white throat, cold and white, or cool and white. These two words depicts or represents the beauty, the charming of the mistress, the maid's beloved, the maid's desire. Then we have the second stanza of the poem Warming Her Pulse. Resting in the yellow room, contemplating silk or taffeta, whose gown tonight she fends herself while I work willingly. My slow heat entering is pearls like on my neck her. She thinks of the fabric that the mistress wear and all the materials. My slow heat entering is pearl, like on my neck her robe. She remembers the moment when he placed the pearls, when he placed the pearls around her neck. She feels like that the heat transferred from her body to the pearls, and the pearls become hot, and after the placement of the pearls around the mistress's neck, it is the night time, it is at night while the mistress takes rest, sleeps, the pearls cool down, but the maid's heart and mind do not cool down, it becomes warm, thinking of her mate, thinking and dreaming and desiring for the intercourse or lovemaking. Slack on my neck her rope. Her rope means here the strings of the pulse. The maid imagines the pulse, the strings, praising the beauty of the pulse of her mistress, represent the represent the praise of her mistress. So through the praising of the pulse, the maid is praising the beauty of her mistress and also revealing her inner desire, sexual fantasies, and what she thinks about her mistress, and what is her feeling about her mistress. These things have been reflected in a very quite clear way through the poet in the poem Warming Her Pulse. Resting in the willow room, contemplating silk or taffeta with gown tonight, she fends herself, whistle I work willingly, my slow heat entering is pearls, like on my neck her rope. This stanza reveals the memory of the night. Hmm. And uh, of the moment that her mistress wear a silk that quite suits her and flashes her beauty out. Then we have the third stanza of the poem. She is beautiful. I dream about her in my attic bed. Picture her dancing a tall man, puzzled by my faint, persistent scent beneath her friend's perfume, her milky stones. This stanza reveals the feelings inside the maid, and this stanza also reveals the beauty of the mistress. She is beautiful. Huh? She declares that her mistress is very beautiful, good looking. I dream about her in my attic bed. She dreams about her mistress in her attic bed in the loneliness. He feels sensation inside her body and mind. She dreams about her mistress to have a meeting, to have a moment of their integration in love. Picture her dancing with tall man. She dreams that her mistress is dancing with tall man, puzzled by my faint, and she is quite puzzled, persistent, scent beneath her friend's perfume, her milky stones. The friend's perfume that her mistress uses, and the milky stones, that is the pearls she wears, uh, make the maid puzzled by faint, puzzled, and she is quite amazed by the perfume, the smell of the perfume, and the beauty of the milky stones, beauty of the pearls around the neck of her mistress. Persistent. That is a continuous smell, continuous scent of the friend's perfume. Uh, these things, her milky stones, make the maid amazed, surprised, sensational, excited, and desirable to get the love of the woman. Dancing with tall men reveals her sexual desire, sexual fantasies towards her mistress. And the stanza reveals the maid's imagination, dreaming, fantasies, and her feelings, what she thinks of her mistress, her inner desire, her lust. Okay, now next, fourth stanza of the poem. I dust her soldiers with a rabbit's foot. Watch the soft blush seep through her skin like an indolent sigh. Indolent means lazy. Okay. In her looking glass, my red lips part as though I want to speak. This stanza again reveals the real moment. It is not the dreaming of the maid, but it is the real situation. While in the service of her mistress, placing the pearls around the neck and dressing her, making her up. The moment, that moment, the period, and in that period of time, she dashed the soldiers of her mistress with a rabbit's foot. This rabbit's foot means she touch and move her fingers on the shoulders of the mistress, desiring, thinking of her desire, okay, about the mistress. It is the rabbit's foot. Was the soft flush sip through her skin like an indolent sigh, and she feels warm inside. Her sexual fantasy, becomes strong and unbearable, and she feels the blushness of the soft sip of the mistress, the beauty inside the body, like an indolent sigh, and the action is lazy. She becomes lazy and she thinks only of her mistress. She is lost in the dream of her mistress. Her fantasy becomes strong and unbeatable. In her looking glass, my red lips part as though I want to speak. Here is the main reason. Okay, it is clear that in these lines, it is clear that the mistress is not aware of the maid's thinking, maid's desire, and the maid wants to propose her mistress while in her service, while placing those beautiful pearls, milky stones around her neck and dressing her and making her up. She tries to declare and propose her mistress, but she is not able to do so because of the inner fear. Huh? What the mistress would think of her, and if the mistress rejects her, what would be the situation? And it's not her, sorry, and her heart would be broken down. So she is in confused state what to do. She wants to declare, but she cannot declare because of some obstacles such as her social and economic status and the gender itself and her gender. In her looking glass, my red lips part as though I want to speak. Here, the red lips implies the stillness of the lips. The lips want to move, but the lips cannot move up and down because of that inner fear, because of that hesitation, humiliation. So this stanza, fourth stanza, reveals the fact that the the love that she feels is not has not even been declared or proposed, and she is burning inside. Now the fifth stanza. Full moon, her carriage brings her home. I see her every movement in my head, undressing, taking off her jewels, her slim hand reaching for the case, slipping naked into bed, the way she always does. Last stanza. And I lie here awake, knowing the fowls are calling, not cooking, it is typing mistake. Calling even now in the room where my mistress sleeps. All night I feel their absence and I bar. The last two stanzas, fifth and sixth stanzas, fifth stanza and sixth stanza of the poem also reveals the maid's dreaming. It is not a real moment. It is the dreaming of the maid about her mistress. Full moon. It is the full moon at night. She says that her mistress comes back to home and she pictures in her mind the every movement, every step of her mistress through the eyes with lust and desire, with filled with the sexual fantasies she feels inside about her mistress. Undressing, taking off her jewels, her slim hand reaching for the case, slipping naked into bed the way she always does, and I lie here awake. She dreams her mistress undressing, becomes naked, undressing, taking off her jewels. Okay. Her slim hand reaching for the case, slim hands implies the beauty of the mistress, slipping naked into bed. It is typing mistake, slipping, SLEEPING. It will be this slipping. Okay, typing mistake. The way she always does. And I lie here awake. The maid here dreams about her mistress taking up her jewels and undressing her and sleeping naked into bed. This dreaming implies the sensation she feels about her mistress and she becomes warm inside. Her sexual fantasy and desire is revealed throughout this dream, but she cannot propose or declare uh, the matter that is burning her inside, from the inside. She is unable to declare, but she feels and dream and desire. The way she always does. She is dreaming the moment undressing and sleeping naked into bed, and it is also the real action that is taken place regularly by the mistress. This moment has been dreamed by the maid in the room, though the maid is sleeping in her on sleeping into her attic bed. The mistress is absent there, but she dreams that she is in the room of her mistress and she is enjoying the sleeping of her mistress naked and her slim hands and slim body. She is enjoying, feeling the beauty. Knowing the pulse are cooling even now in the room where my mistress sleeps, all night I feel their absence and I burn. These lines reveal that she is dreaming, it is not the real. Okay, she is in her own attic room, attic bed. She is sleeping, and her mistress is also sleeping there, and her and beautiful pearls, the milky stones are cooling down. The mistress is absent, but she is metaphorically present in the maid's room as she dreams about her, as she desires for her, as she becomes sensational thinking of her. In the room where my mistress sleeps, all night I feel their absence and I burned. All night, all the night, the maid cannot sleep, cannot have a rest because of that dream, erotic dream of her mistress, and she feels burning inside, thinking of her. She becomes warm inside, she becomes excited, but she cannot do nothing. But she burns inside all the night, and all the night is just in this way is spent. So this is the poem Warming Her Pulse. In this poem, the poet has reflected the lesbian love, the sense of lesbian love, the love between the maid and the mistress. Though the mistress is unaware of the love, the maid feels love for her mistress. She desires and she desires the sexual fantasies, and she builds fantasies, sexual fantasies, and also the sensational and heartfelt love for the mistress. But it is the condition that the maid cannot propose or declare her love, what she feels inside, or in her inner body, in the mind, what she feels, he cannot explain, she cannot reveals, she cannot declare, she cannot propose because of the obstacles, that is the economical and the economical status, social status, and the position difference between them, and also the social criticism, and also the other is the gender, eh, gender, and she is not sure about her mistress, what she feels about her. So the maid burns herself drinking, imagining about her mistress, and living in a world of fantasy. Uh, she lives in the world of imagination and fantasy. In the real world, she does not know what is the condition of the love she feels. Uh, and the red lips represents the obstacles, and she is unable to declare. So the love she feels becomes one-sided. It becomes unsuccessful, one-sided, but it has the inner power in it because of the desire, because of the fantasies built by the maid through her revealing of her love, her feelings and desire. It has great power. So it is the analysis of the poem Warming Her Pulse, Carol by Carol and Duffy. I think you have learned something from this video presentation. If you like the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and share. Please don't forget to subscribe and share. And appreciate our hard work. Thank you so much. The next poem analysis will be The Shield of Achilles by W.S. Auden. So don't miss the video presentation, and also please subscribe to this channel and share with your friends. Thank you. Bye bye. May God bless you. Have a nice day.